is Hard Parking, brought to you by Right Honda and Right Toyota out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I am your host, Jhae Pfenning. Coming up on this show, me. That's right. You're going to be stuck with me. I don't have any guests booked. I purposely did not book any guests. We're going to jump into some automotive news, give you a recap of my weekend. Came full circle with something that was kind of fun, very coincidental. All that and more coming up after this word from 4Wheel Online. Jhae Pfenning here, and I want to tell you guys about 4Wheel Online. For over a decade, 4Wheel Online has been bringing the best truck accessories and truck parts to enhance the appearance and performance of all trucks and SUVs. They are dedicated to providing an extensive range of upgrades that will match any maker model on the road. The truck products cover everything you need to give your truck a custom look and added functionality. And if you need a tire and wheel package, head over and use the configuration tool. They carry all the major brands of wheels and tires, so go get outfitters today. So visit them online at 4Wheel Online or call them at 813-769-2451. Again, that's 4Wheel Online, the number 4, Wheel Online. So now my wife is sick. She's got the flu. Trying to get over valley fever. Actually, it's not valley fever. That whole thing is stupid. I guess it's a real thing. Like I said, I don't want to make light of it. People have lost their animals to it. Old people have probably died. But I still have like this weird thing in my throat. Maybe it is allergies. Maybe when I had COVID, we both had COVID in January of 21. Maybe our immune systems are altered. They say that's a thing. They say it's a very possibility. Maybe my immune system is now compromised forever. They don't really know the long-term effects. They just know it affects people differently. So it'll be interesting. I finally went online and found a primary care physician. Picked a place down the street. This was my second choice. You know why? Because the first choice didn't have an opening until like May 6th. Today's April 3rd of this recording, Sunday. Those of you faithful to this podcast will be listening to it at some point this week. So the second option was April 26th. So yeah, it's still hello urgent care, but I think I'm just going to see, like I'm coughing. I'm back to coughing. It's still kind of a wheezy cough. Don't have a temperature, not spitting anything up. So I'm just living my life, man. That is 100% ridiculous, but it is what it is. And at least by the time I get to April 26th, I will have secured a new primary care physician and life will be good moving forward. So then they can only guess what my symptoms are the first 3 times I visit them. But the 4th time, they will have figured out that I'm just a nut job and I'm probably not sick at all. But at least it'll be on record and it will be consistent. On my patient notes, the very first thing I put on there is, I will probably be dead by the time this appointment comes. But here's my last 3 visits to urgent care. Here's what's going on. Here's what I'm putting down. This is a wellness visit. That's the only thing I could have picked. But I'll get all that out. We'll figure it out. If you follow me on social media, not all of you do. On Instagram more specifically, you know that I am the founder of the oneauTo movement. And we try to do different things all the time. We've partnered up with Arizona Adventure Group. We did a hike, which I finally got last Saturday. I think I'd mentioned on the last episode. If not, I don't know what I mentioned last week. But I finally was able to get out and go on a hike with my wife. We were supposed to do 4 separate 1.5 miles. I did 1 4.5 mile hike. So I got it all the way. But I like to partner up and do different things. Arizona Adventure Group reached out because one of their founding members is on the oneauTo Council, Mr. Edgar Millan. Edgar and his lovely wife, Monique, started Arizona Adventure Group, which they've been on this podcast before. Wonderful people. So Edgar reached out to me and said, hey, we're doing a cleanup effort with natural restorations. Would you like to be involved if you don't have anything going on April 2nd? I go, let me look at the calendar. April 2nd's open. Sure, let's do it. So I signed up. Katherine Cox, which you've heard on the podcast, she's also on the oneauTo Council. She signed up as well. And of course, Edgar kind of doing double. He's part oneauTo, part Arizona Adventure Group. So there are 3 of us out there. And it was awesome. What we did is we drove way up to North Scottsdale, dirt road, paved, then dirt. And we met with some of the Arizona restoration people and also some people working with the state of Arizona. Like, I don't know what they were technically called. I just look at them as park rangers. You know, they have the green and the hat and all that kind of shit. What we did is we went out to a local creek. What we found out is that creek is a very important water line for the state of Arizona. I also found out, and I think Katherine told me this, that 65% of Arizona's water comes from underground. We have water literally under the surface. Either she said that or one of the guides that were with us said that. She knows a lot about a lot of things, so maybe Maybe, Catherine, I'm giving you credit for something you didn't say, but you did pick out the wild grapes that were growing on the path. But anyway, let me get back to the point. So we went out there and we're walking, and what had happened was along this creek bed, there are houses. And the last monsoon season we had came through and it just fucking destroyed these houses. Some of them are still there. Some of them, the houses are 50 to 150 yards down the stream, if you know what I mean. So that's what we did. We walked along the creek bed. Some of the rocks were sturdy. Some were kind of loose. There was debris everywhere. One of the guides that were with us that worked for the state pointed out that the water had risen about 30 feet during this flood, which is insane. I guess this happens every 500 years, which is even more insane. But we were walking along this riverbed or this creek bed and stepping over, taking our, being really careful. But you would find stuff. You would find like part of a bed. You would find random wires, keyboards, power strips, shit that like Christmas lights. We were finding Christmas lights that were ripped in half way downstream. Chairs. I found a mangled bicycle that had to have been from a previous flood. It wasn't this last year. But what happens is they get volunteers, and they do it themselves. They get volunteers to kind of go down there, and there's miles of this stuff. So you pick up what you can and you get done. But it was a really good opportunity. I'm definitely going to do it again. I know Catherine's going to do it again. Probably everybody there is going to do it again. I'm also going to sign up to be a volunteer for Reach Out Worldwide, but just local. So when we have local issues here in the Phoenix or Arizona area, because to be a full-time volunteer, I guess this is National Volunteer Month too, by the way, but to be a full-time volunteer, that means you just either have FU money or you're retired. Because when they need you, like with Reach Out Worldwide, you get deployed places. And it's volunteer, so it's not like you're getting paid for your time. You're coming out of pocket to go somewhere else and make a difference, which means you're not back at home working for your money. That's why I think you have to either have FU money or you have to be retired. So I'm going to sign up for Reach Out Worldwide, become one of their local volunteers if they need me. And also Arizona Restorations. They're always doing stuff. You guys should check them out. Arizona Adventure Group, check them out. oneauTo, of course, you guys know. That's us. We are driven by our passions. We are fueled by the culture. So I challenge you to get out there and do something different. We had a lot of fun. One of the sponsors of this hiking challenge that I did last week is Make It Count for Danny Foundation. And she's also the owner of Thrive Construction. Super high energy, has rheumatoid arthritis, and every day matters to her. Every day she pushes herself. And Catherine and I were kind of sitting back watching her talk to these people, and we're like, man, people like that make us want to do more, make us seem like we're slouches, we're not doing enough. She had told the story that she was with a friend years ago, and they were talking about maybe working out and doing this, doing that, and she was talking about her rheumatoid arthritis and how every day is a struggle. And her friend, who they had just celebrated their birthday, said, I just want to wake up tomorrow. And that put everything in perspective. So Danny started talking about how she started working out, and she did a fitness competition the first time ever. And now she has rheumatoid arthritis, so she doesn't have like full control of her joints, her hands. Even this weekend, we're walking around, she was like, hey, can you help me grab this? My hand, I don't have grip. Can you open this water bottle for me? I can't open it. And I was like, yeah, sure, I got you. And she rode with me in the Infinity to the site and back. But when she was in the Infinity, she was talking on the way back about doing this, hiking every day on a very difficult trail like a madman, and also doing this fitness competition. And I'm listening to her, and she's talking about it, and it's like, yeah, we got to go on stage, and, it's my first time ever doing it, and we presented this big charity check to, the sponsors. It's the reason why we're there, and I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, huh. I said, when was this? Like, what year, what month? She said, it was March of 2017. I was like, huh. Where was this competition at? North Mesa Convention Center or something. I go, you know what? I think I was there. She's like, what? I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I was there. I'm 99% sure I was there because my wife, the one who is sick down the hall right now, that was the only competition she's ever done. She did a fitness competition. And I said, you know what, Danny? I feel very confident I was there that day. So when we get to where we're going, she pulls out her phone and she goes, which one of these girls is your wife? And sure as shit, there she was. There's my wife, Yvette. And I go, that one. Danny goes, no way. I was totally talking to her that day. It's a small world. This was in 2017. This was just over 5 years ago by the math. And it's crazy because oneauto, we also participate in the Arizona Venture Group Hiking Challenge as a sponsor. And I've seen this girl on social media, and she's seen me on social media. This is before we even shared the story. And she's like, "Oh my God, you're the guy from oneauto." I go, "Yeah, you're that Danny chick," and gave me a big hug because of all the support that we all give each other. And it's just crazy, though. At the end of the day, it's like, damn, this world unites people who are mentally aligned, I guess. And Wes always talks about that. And I'm just like, yeah. I do think things happen for a reason, but it's because something caused them to happen. I don't think that there's this predetermined path for us. I think our path is what we make of it. And I think sometimes there's this really cool coincidences where we all come full circle. I think you can either get with the program or you can watch the program leave you behind. I think if you're out there trying to do things and you run in certain circles, you never know what's going to happen. And so not only do we have a friend for life, future potential podcast guest, Wes, you should do this. I can hook you up. She's powerful, man. She's motivational. She gave me a sticker to put on the Infinity. I was looking at the back of Monique, Edgar's wife's little SUV, and I saw all the stickers on the back. I go, you know what? I've destined my Infinity to be that vehicle. I said, I need more swag. I need more window swag. And she goes, hey, look, there's my Make It Count for Danny one. I go, I'd take one of those. So you'll see that on my car very soon once I clean the car. And throw it right on there. Got to support it for life. Speaking of the Infinity, I kind of snuck this in with Yvette the other day. So we're driving, we're at a light, and I look up and it's a new Ford Bronco. And it's one of the big ones. I don't know what's the difference. One's a sport, one's not. But it's one of the bigger ones, one of the really nice ones. Because one of them, it doesn't really look that nice. It's like a Jeep Compass or something. But one of them looks really nice. And it was that really cool kind of grayish blue that every single one of them seemed to be. It was built for off-road. It looked like it was raised a little bit. Probably came that way. Knobby tires. And I say, see that? I said, that's cool. And my wife's like, yeah, that's really cool looking. I go, yeah, you see how those tires are raised up? Now, when that thing goes off-road, what it's going to do is they can get out and they can let some of the air out. It's called airing out. She goes, oh, that's weird. She goes, oh, you know what? I guess it makes sense because there's all that rubber on the tire. And when you're going over the rocks, it'll probably be more cushion. I go, yeah, you know what? You're right, honey. Yes, that's what it's called. I said, you know how I went on that cruise a few months ago and I barely made it over the rocks? I said, that's what I would like to do with the Infinity. I talked about that before. Because maybe get smaller wheels, bigger tires, raise it up a few inches so that, we can go off-roading in Sedona or somewhere, or I can go on one of those cruises and the vehicle's capable. It just won't get stuck. She's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Ha 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 ha. You done fucked up, right? You done fucked up. I didn't say anything about it, but I smiled like, you just gave me the green light to do what I've wanted to do, because last time I brought it up, I go, hey, I want to be more responsible with my money. I want to be responsible with our money. She goes, well, that's good. I said, so when it comes to modifying the car, instead of just doing it, I want to talk to you about it first. And she just lost it. You're going to get another car and da-da-da-da. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This is why I do it. This is why I just go ahead and buy shit and don't tell you about it, because I don't want to hear this. Now, we make plenty of money. And if I want to put different wheels on my car, if I want to raise my car, if I want to get different tires, so what? On the grand scheme of things, it doesn't cost much money at all. I'm not trying to get HREs that's going to cost $9,000. I'm looking at wheels that might cost me $1,000 for a set of wheels, and then maybe $1,300 for a set of wheels and tires. A lift kit, couple $100. New front bumper. Like, I envy people that drive around with dents on their cars. The Infinity has a damaged front bumper, and it bothers me. Nobody fucking knows but me until I point it out. It bothers me every time I look at the car. It's disgusting. I want to spit on the car. Okay, it's not that bad. But it's like, how are we processing the information that we get? Are we getting upset before I even finish talking, or are we going to listen to me finish talking? Because it was the same thing when I had the NSX. I was like, hey, I need to get an oil change on the NSX and alignment. Getting ready to go to Texas. Getting ready to drive thousands of miles. And it's like, we always put so much money in that car. Da, 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 da. I was like, hey, it's an oil change, it's an alignment. You don't want my wheels to fall off, do you? Well, no. I said, all right. It's like $100. Oh, I thought it was going to be like thousands of dollars. No, it's an oil change and an alignment. Like, calm down. I bet you every single one listening, every person listening to this can identify with that on some level with someone in your life. Like, can you just get out of your way long enough to hear me finish speaking, saying what I need to say, and then you'll find out there's nothing to be all worked up about. So yeah, I want to modify the Infinity, and I just got permission. Life's good. When we get back, I'm going to give you my random thought of the week, and then I will send you along your way. Remember the Scion FRS? Before Toyota got rid of Scion brand and called it the Toyota 86, which to me is the same thing as an FRS because it is, minus the Scion badge versus Toyota badge, which is also the corporate cousin or identical cousin to the Subaru BRZ. Well, some hot news, the 2022 GR86 is absolutely killing it right now on the market. How much is it killing it? Toyota sales for the GR86 is up 326% for the quarter, while the entire company is down 24% overall. Best March sales ever, the GR86. Best first quarter sales ever, the GR86. It's a pretty nice looking car. It's not a car that I personally would probably ever drive or buy, but it has nothing to do with the car itself. It just has to do with wherever I am and what I want to buy. This new one's 2.4 liter horizontally opposed to 4-cylinder that now makes 228 horsepower, which is 23 horsepower more than the outgoing model's 2.0 liter. This is also on Car and Driver's top 10 and Editor's Choice lists. Interesting. Top 3 vehicles Car and Driver in this class is the 86, followed by the BRZ. Same thing, but different. And then the Mazda MX-5 Miata, which I guess is a pretty cool car, none of which are for me. I think it's interesting, though. These cars are just coming up from everywhere. Kind of looked at as kind of the modern-day Civic because everybody had them. Like for a while, there was nothing but FRSs, 86s, I guess, and BRZs everywhere. They dominated every Cars and Coffee. They dominated every car meet. They dominated every car show in volume. Not necessarily awards, but in volume. They were everywhere. And it reminds me of back in the late 90s, early 2000s, everybody, hell, not even then, up until like 4 or 5 years ago, it was dominated by Civics. Civic. Every once in a while, someone sprinkled in an Accord or some sort of an Acura sedan. But it's kind of cool to see all of these BRZs and GR86s all over the place and people modify them. They look kind of cool, kind of different. Again, not for me personally, but I never disliked the cars. But then now you have the Nissan 400Z and it's getting ready to be everywhere as well. And that's a really nice looking car too. Not something I'm interested in, but I am very interested to see these things on the road and dominating your local car meets. Probably not necessarily dominating the Cars and Coffee as much because the Lions will always be the Lions and the Cubs will always be the Cubs. As far as your local car meets, they're going to be everywhere. And it's going to be exciting to see what people do to them. And I've said this before, much like the Supra when it came out, I felt that they were going to be everywhere. And while they're not technically everywhere I typically see them, it's like, wow, that's a pretty nice looking car. Whether it's wrapped and lowered with wheels and suspension, or if it's just bone stock. Once people got past the fact that they got over themselves, the fact that the Supra is not going to look like the Toyota FT1, like Frank Thomas 1. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it means you're not a car person. That's okay. You listen to this podcast, so I love you all the same. Google Toyota FT1, and then you'll understand why everybody who wanted that to be the Supra was upset when the Supra came out. You don't have to be a car person to understand. One was what you ordered, and one is what you got from wish.com. But if all you got is from wish.com, then it is what it is. And people made the best of it. And again, I'm excited to see what people can do with this Nissan 400Z, these GR86s, and the new BRZ, which looks identical to a GR86, minus the badge and probably one or two other things. You know, we had little Mariella on a few months ago, and she has one of those cute little cars, and she's done a lot of stuff to it. We should get her back on, catch up. Got an email from Elizabeth Kerr at intent.uk. EV charging infrastructure expected to surpass $62 billion in 2025. Well, we've always talked about that, right? We've talked about, how are we going to switch from internal combustion to EV? We don't have the infrastructure. But at the same time, if everybody gets on board and we get taxed to shit. And by the way, this article is from the UK, so they're usually on top of this shit before the United States is. It's probably one of the few things that they have over us. Well, they probably have a lot of stuff over us. But, global EV sales topped 6.3 million in 2021, and they're projecting that to cross the 14 million mark by 2025. I'm projecting that to be more, because that's just over 2 times, like 2.2 times in the next 4 years. Come on, we can do better. So according to this article on moneytransfers.com, some automakers are already collaborating with charging infrastructure providers to increase access to charging stations. Volvo USA, take back what I said about the UK, and ChargePoint, for instance, run one such venture. In it, the latter will offer Volvo EV owners home flex chargers, enable them to recharge their vehicles from home. It kind of makes me wonder, though. It's like, again, to go back on what I said, in order for this, in my opinion, I'm not qualified to give this opinion. In my opinion, they're going to have to standardize down to a handful of different options. Now, sure, you can have a different charging station at home, just like you can have a different outlet in your vehicle, just like Samsung has one type of charge cord, Vizio, LG. They may all have slightly different configurations. You know that square and then kind of that rounded other one? And many use that, but not all use that. Sometimes they use 2 squares with the hole. Sometimes they use both rounded. But it's still it's like 2 or 3. So then you can go online and buy the generic one. But I think EV, it's going to have to be like that. You're going to have to only have one of like 5 different ways to charge. Hell, cell phones. Apple, they have that stupid Lightning. But on the other side of the Lightning, you have USB, you have USB-C. Android, Samsung, they've gotten with it. I think most of those are just USB-C on the phone end and the charging end. Apple, come on. I love the CarPlay. Not dissing it, just saying. My point is standardization for charging. Your laptops, a lot of them now charge with a USB-C or a Thunderbolt 3 port, which basically looks like a USB-C. And now you can borrow a charger from a completely different computer because it has the same thing. Same charging port. May not charge as fast, may fry your motherboard, but at least you can plug it in. Whereas before, if it's not that right, like circle, it's all about the circle with the little dot in the middle. If you don't have the right circle, you're hosed. No, you don't need that. It says a significant driver for this market will be the increased availability of battery storage systems and solar charging stations. Well, no shit, Sherlock. These will also allow EV owners to charge their vehicles from almost anywhere. Furthermore, they'll enable vehicles to keep their charges for longer mileages. Smart charging solutions will also ease the charging woes that many EV owners face on highways. These include NFC and RFID, allowing you to charge your car without plugging it into the main electricity. However, they'll support self-operated kiosks like Charging Point. So I thought somebody was developing a car that does charge, or I think they're testing a strip of road, maybe in Indiana somewhere, like one of the universities, where the road charges the car as long as the car is on the road. That's interesting. I want to say it's India. We talked about it on this podcast last year at some point. Last week I was headed to Scottsdale for something. I can't remember what it was for some weird reason. And I passed the Rimac store. RIMAC. They make the trucks. I don't know if they have anything else, but they have the truck. And one of my fellow NSX owners has a Rimac truck. And he said it was super impressive. If he's got like 1,500 cars. I guess my point is this EV stuff is everywhere. And I'm wondering, here's what I wonder. I wonder if Tesla is going to continue to be the leader, or if they were just the first one there and they're going to slowly start being taken over by better vehicles. I wonder what this is going to do to Elon Musk and Tesla. Is he going to be full of himself like Honda is? What do I mean by that? The Acura NSX, the 1991 to 2005 NSX, people love it now. People loved it when it first came out, but there were many years where people were kind of like, this car is really cool, but it's underpowered. It needs more. And Honda refused to make any improvements to the car. Finally, in 1997, they came out with the NA2 NSX, which is what I had. It had 20 more horsepower, another gear, so it went from 5-speed to 6-speed. It had bigger brakes, bigger rotors, I guess. a few different things. And over the years, they added like a better air conditioned, AC unit and all that kind of stuff. But by 2005, when they got done selling the car, when they were hardly able to sell any car, it was insanely underpowered. It was twice as much as your average sports car. And it still came with a cassette deck, optional CD changer in the trunk. And I believe it still came with a car phone. Think about that. I'm not talking like a legit mobile phone with the coily cord and the big handheld thing. It was, I think about 2005. Like any vehicle sold in 2005 with a tape, like a cassette deck on it. Like, what are we doing? But Honda was like, our car is good enough. And eventually no one bought them. And that's why they stopped selling them. They stopped selling the NSX because nobody bought them. Look at the sales. I don't think they sold 100 cars in 2005. Hell, my 97 was number 298. I don't think they sold 500 cars in 97. So Tesla continues to sell vehicles, but as these other companies start popping up, now Tesla has competition. Tesla didn't have competition. Not any real competition. Now there's competition. Ford on the map. This Rimac company on the map. Volvo has the Polestar. I think Polestar is EV. Full EV? If it's not EV, then never mind. It's a cool car, either way. But every manufacturer is popping up with these EVs. Hell, Audi got the e-tron. Advertised and teased on, obviously, Avengers movies. Tony Stark always has the greatest technology, and he always pulls up in an Audi of some sort. Except for, the first Avengers, it was an NSX. 2012. Took 5 years to come out. Hybrid. People hated it. But now everything's a hybrid. And if it's not a hybrid, it's full EV. And the future is EV. So I am curious, what's Tesla going to do? Still haven't driven one. Still got to get out to see Drew. I need to drive one. I just want to know. My wife wants to know. We want to know. People swear by them. But again, I know people have gotten rid of them for the Porsche Taken? Give me back my son! The Porsche Taycan. So we'll see. Maybe it will really be the Toyota Camry of the EV world, where it was the only one. Maybe it'll be the most cost efficient, and that's what's going to keep it up there. Fleet sales, anyone? Maybe I'll be able to go to an airport and rent one, and it won't be some sort of a specialized rental. Because I have seen them available for rent, but it's always like, you can upgrade to this Tesla for $60 extra a day. No thanks. But instead, it'll be on the lot. Okay, I get to pick a car. There's like 30 Teslas out there. There's a Rimac truck. There's a new Ford Lightning. I think I'll take the Rimac truck. It won't be the Tesla Plaid or the Plaid X 1200 horsepower. It'll just be like a Model 3 with those shit wheels the base model comes with. And it'll do the job. And that's it for your car news. Well, it's time for the random thought of the week. This is not sponsored by anyone. So if you want to sponsor it, you can. I'll make a deal with you. I'll hook it up. $1,000. $1,000 an episode, you could sponsor this. $1,000. I am kidding. So the random thought of the week, usually what this segment is, if you're new to the show, is when I'm out and about, I have a weird thought. If I'm watching TV, maybe I hear a good quote. I jot it down. Or if I can take something and say it out of context, which makes it even so much better. Example from this last weekend, and this isn't my random thought of the week, but during our briefing, before we went and jumped in these vehicles and walked along the creek bed, which actually was really dangerous, one of the things that was said multiple times about trash, don't let a piece of trash risk your personal safety. I thought, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing out of context too. Like I want to put that on a shirt. Don't let a piece of trash risk your personal safety. But my random thought of the week is, and I got this from watching TV. Shout out to Red. Let us borrow his Paramount Plus. We've been watching Halo. We've watched the first 2 episodes of Halo, the show that's based off a video game, which is one of the most awesome video games ever. I only played the first one and part of the second one. I think they've had like 50. But one thing I remember from the first one is it is such an awesome game. And I remember it lasted forever. I'm one of those single-player campaign guys. I'm not really big into the multiplayer, although Halo the first Halo was fun playing multiplayer. Although it also sucked. So unless you were playing one of your friends, like somebody literally sitting next to you, it was never fun to go online because you could empty a clip on somebody and never hit them because somebody's connection always sucked. And everyone would just jump up and down until they got close to you and then freaking clop you in the back of the head and take your shit. Basically, I was no good, which is why I didn't like it. But one of the things that was said in Halo, and they always say it in everything, and it's never good, is the next stage in human evolution. Every movie you hear that on, the next stage in human evolution is never good. It never works out. It's always some sort of a weird hybrid, alien, humanoid thing. It never works out. A robot that just goes AWOL. Never works out. I challenge you, because you guys know, for those of you who watch TV, like me, for those of you who watch movies, who notice things, the next phase in human evolution is never a good thing. This next weekend, I'm going to Vegas. I have an excellent podcast episode from a very dear friend. I've talked about this before that I have not played yet, and I'm going to play it next week. Get your tissues ready. And by the way, this is going to be one of those things that's also going to make you want to go out there and want to do more with your life. It's always the best of us. It's always those who represent the best of us are the ones that don't get to see us become the better versions of ourselves sometimes. But it's never too late for you to start. If there's a grandparent or a friend or someone that's no longer around that you wish could see you today, just know there's always somebody else watching you. So it's never too late to start making a difference. God, I sound like Mimi, don't I? Ride or die. No. But that's real, though. You know, one of the things I've tried to say this, during this last weekend, and when people were like, oh, thanks for being here. It's like, look, man, it's okay to write a check to charity. Everybody wins. But when you can dedicate your time, especially if you don't have any money, dedicate your time to doing something. Be about it. Don't just talk about it. Like I said last week with the Will Smith thing and the alopecia thing. Don't just talk about it. Be about it. And being about it is getting out there and doing something about it. Or throwing your money at it. You could change your social media color in support of something, but it's never going to support anything. All it is you've just showed everybody in the world that you support something without really supporting something. Put your money behind it. Donate to a cause. Get out there. I thought about adopting a section of the highway. I don't ever see that here, by the way, because they probably know that anyone who adopts a section of the highway in Arizona is probably going to die cleaning shit up because it's hot as out there. But I thought about it. Like, what's something? Also, it's hard to get the car community right now involved in things that aren't car-centric. For example, the Arizona Adventure Group Hiking Challenge. We posted the shit out of that to the oneauTo page, and it's like, hey guys, I just made a commercial for this. Everybody, let's do it. Let's go. I don't know who all actually registered, but I do know not very many people registered from the car community because of the campaigns that we did with Arizona Adventure Group. This restoration project, there were 3 of us there, and we're all 3 part of the oneauTo Council. I didn't see any rando car people who had registered. People don't want to get out and do something. I heard what's her name? I want to say Nicole. I heard Nicole from Natural Restorations tell a story about people when they look for volunteers. And she had said that when it comes to picking up trash, because nobody wants to pick up trash, but what we did was actually kind of fun. Because in my head, I was like, all right, you walk around with a little trash picker, you're picking up cigarette butts on the highway, this is going to fucking suck. But we're volunteering, we're doing it to make a difference. But what we did was actually different. It was actually kind of fun. Very physically demanding at times. In fact, I'm sore. I think I pulled a muscle in my back. Because I almost busted my ass carrying this big-ass heavy bag full of sharp shit. And then I did like this weird skate twist thing, almost falling down into the stream. But anyway, I heard her say that when it comes to picking up trash, hardly anybody will volunteer. But when it comes to planting trees to grow stuff back, people they're tripping over themselves to sign up. And those people make a difference too, but it's not always glitz and glamour. So you can get out there and be like, hey, we helped plant trees today. Woo, we're making a difference. Get out there and do other stuff too, because it all makes a difference. So I guess that's my only point. I'm tired of, I'm not trying to be a volunteer thumper here. Shit, I'm 46 years old. I probably spent the first 42 years of my life not doing shit, but I'm doing it now. I want to thank Right Honda and Right Toyota, Scottsdale, Arizona, 4wheelonline.com, Sales Shop Wireless Services, Fountain Hills Motorsports, Patreon Business Supporter, Coyote Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida, and new Patreon Business Supporter, Transcend Procurement Group, a subsidiary of Pell Construction. How do you like that, Den Brovant, owner of said company? I asked him how he wanted the company address, and he gave me that. So I think moving forward, it'll just be Pell Construction out of Caledonia, Michigan. Thank you for your support. Much love. If you're in a position to help the podcast upgrade, join the Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Get access to bonus audio as well as show swag. I'm telling you, if you actually are still listening, I have dropped some crazy bonus audio. Any of the following people, you can reach out and ask them, but they're not going to share it with you because I've dropped some pretty crazy shit in there, whether it's car updates or conversations. Mark Stolman, Katherine Cox, Eddie Ramos, Richard Graves, Byron Jones, Bo Jung, Alice Kamina, and Drew Bunkley. Thank you for your support. If you're interested in picking up a Hard Parking Podcast shirt with a new logo, hopefully those are coming out soon once I reach out to the primary show sponsor, that is Right Honda, Right Toyota, and I say, hey, I need shirts. You can email the show, hardparkingpodcast@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram at Jhae Pfenning, that's JhaePfenning, or JTravels, JHE_travels. Join the Hard Parking Violations Facebook group. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com, Hard Parking Podcast. I need 1,000 subs. I need 4,000 viewing hours. I've been stuck at like 500 subs, 500 something for a long time. You know why? Because my videos suck, but you know what? I'm trying. So go ahead and give me a sympathy follow. Give me a sympathy bell icon and give me a sympathy thumbs up on every single one of my videos. Don't you unsubscribe or I will find you. I will hurt you. Because I can't grow without telling the world how good the show is. Let's do this. Let's grow this thing together. Next week will be the special episode, John Basso's NSX Tech. You're going to love it. I'll be in Vegas. So I will officially talk to you guys in a couple weeks.
Give me back my son!
Shut up!